Oh my
Alrighty.
God.
Well, hi there, and welcome to the Be More podcast that is officially now on Spotify. I am
That's
Brittany.
crazy.
I know.
I'm Maria. So hopefully this audio sounds better because for anyone that's watching our YouTube channel, we have actual microphones now. So it's taking us 31 episodes to figure this out.
Well, how to do it separately. We were doing it pre-COVID.
We
We
were,
were
we
doing
were,
it
but
pre-COVID, and
now
it wasn't like super fancy. But now we're like really officially microphoning,
we're, and you know why? Because we're on Spotify now.
and we had to level it up, guys.
And we were like, well, we're on Spotify, so we're
We
on
had to
Anchor, we're
level
on
up.
SoundCloud, Anchor, and Spotify, and
We're
YouTube.
everywhere.
That's crazy. Yeah,
No.
when I set up the Spotify stuff, Brittany was like, this is weird.
Yeah, it was weird. It was
Yeah.
very seamless though. So if you are looking to
Yeah.
get onto Spotify, it is
It's very
rather
easy.
seamless.
It's
Yeah.
actually really easy. Yeah.
And as I proved today in our very special short little episode that will be coming out, anybody, literally anybody, can set up a microphone and connect it to your computer because Brittany did it successfully by herself.
Yeah.
So you can do it too.
Yeah, Brittany's not the most tech savvy person, so if she can do this, anyone can.
My tech abilities are very limited. I am aware of it. I'm accepting of it, but I still figured it out.
Correct.
That's
So this week, we do have some topic. I'm not gonna lie to you. Brittany sent me a text earlier this week. It's literally, it's like,
Yeah,
2 paragraphs
Brittany
long.
has a rant. Brittany rants out to Maria in text while
And
she's in the moment, and
can
then
can I just say what I responded to you?
yes,
I was like, so Brittany texted me Wednesday at like 2:45. I responded Thursday morning. I was like, I'm not ignoring you. I just don't have the headspace to read. So we'll talk about this on the podcast, which I'm sure that was your intention anyway.
my favorite part was that I never send you texts with the intention of you responding and us engaging in conversation. I literally just texted to you while it's in my head because I know that within the next 5 minutes it's not going to be there anymore.
No, that's
And then
fair.
I'll never remember.
But also, I'm also the person where I'm like, well, is this a text that she wants me to respond to? Because like I was
Oh.
having one of those weeks, and I was like, I don't have the headspace to do anything right now.
Well, then
So
all of my future texts, I'll have to be like, you don't have, please don't think you have to respond to this.
and then just go. So yeah, so Brittany has a story again, I think.
I don't know, do I? I don't see it. I already don't remember.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I still haven't read it.
That's fine. This will be like a first and true. Please, I started reading a book about perspectives today, and this is not the thing that I sent Maria, just so you guys know. But it was talking about how like the way that our brains work, we're like raised and taught to be so attached to like what comes out of our heads and like what thoughts we have.
Right.
The way that our brain is programmed, just like a computer is programmed to like read whatever input it gets and like react to it and like do an action because of it, our brains are not like the same way. They're like specifically programmed to take whatever's in there, and then we have to be the ones who like choose what commands it actually puts forth and like what actions it takes. And like in yoga and in meditation practice, I have done a lot of different practices where I have to train myself that like just because you're thinking something doesn't mean A, you have to say it, B, you have to respond to it, or like C, that you even have to like acknowledge it at all. But I've been trying to, I have certain settings where I'm super on top of making sure that like whatever especially like negative things, I just let that thought happen and then just ignore it and like let it go.
Right.
Or when it's something that's in my brain, when it's like a curiosity, like I have sometimes just have to say it and get it out.
Right. Which case in point, right?
Right.
That's what you did. Yeah.
Right. Which is like what I have to, because I won't remember, like I know that it's not attached to me and I'm really good at letting it go once I like get it out, but I have to get it out somehow. Even like, Dan made a comment to me yesterday. I don't even know. I can't even tell you what I said, but like he made a comment. I said something like really randomly in like dead silent pause last night. And he was like, that was so random. And I was like, yeah, I know. I just needed to say it. Like,
you just need to get it out of your headspace, literally.
Right.
Whereas I had no headspace this week, so
there was no way that my input was getting there.
There is no way.
I work with, for anybody who listens to this podcast or hasn't listened to this podcast before, I work with a lot of kids. That's just what I do for my profession. And I was working with a dancer during the week, and she had brought up to me how, like, I asked her about like how things are going with driving because she's learning to drive. And it was super funny because she was like talking about like turning and like parents being in the car and like her like these really like just genuinely new experiences for her. And I was like, I was talking to her about it, and then afterwards I was thinking about it, and I was like, I can't remember, like I can't imagine what it's like to not drive. Like I can't remember what it was like at the
Yeah,
time where
same.
I didn't get in a car and know what to do with confidence.
Yeah, and also Kate's driving now. She has her permit, so like yeah, I don't remember that feeling either.
Right.
Like
And
it's
it's
so
weird.
like instinctual, like just
Yeah.
like I just go. I know what to do. But
Yeah.
for her it's like, oh, I don't like how hard do I press on the brakes? How hard do I press on the gas? Like how far do I turn the wheel? Like
Yeah.
it's not like within their brain cells yet.
Yeah. And I feel like the only time that I ever really experienced that like sense of like, oh, like I don't
Yeah.
want to say it's not that like, you're not paying attention, but like it feels second nature is like if I drive
Yeah.
somebody else's car. You know what I mean? Or if I
Yeah,
drive a car
because you don't know the dimension of the car.
yeah, and you have to like really be super super hyper aware and then you start to really
Right.
be like, okay, what do I do to put this in gear and all that stuff.
Right.
So this set me on like a long tangent throughout the day of like thinking about ways like what are things that
Mhm.
I know now or I know how to do now that I didn't know how to do in the past.
Okay. So what did you come up with
Well,
a
so
list?
first I sticked on cars. So you know
Yeah.
how cars come to is your car an automatic or a manual?
Oh, it's an automatic. Have you
Oh,
tried driving a manual?
okay. So I really my one of my life goals is to be able to just drive a manual car.
I've tried it in the Philippines and I'm not a fan.
What part of it do you feel like you don't like or like you feel is like
Then again, okay, I will say caveat, the car that I drove is really old. So
uh,
like the I don't what is it called? The other like I don't know, the one on your left foot. The what the hell is it called?
gonna come to me. Wait, hold on.
Every car person's like it's the whatever clutch.
Thank you. Yep.
The clutch was super like I couldn't it was so old that like the clutch would just get stuck. I kept stalling it. I was like, I'm gonna break this car. Please get this away from me. So it wasn't very pleasant because I was driving a very old car. But
Understood.
a lot of my cousins, like a lot of people in the Philippines, they still drive manual over there.
That's so cool.
They say it's fun. Like you're more engaged when you're driving.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like I had an so I have a car that is a, like is an automatic but can also be a semi-automatic.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I drive a Mazda and when I first got it, like
Mm-hmm.
I had realized that it was a semi-automatic. So I was like, you know what? I really want to be able to drive it as a semi one day.
Okay.
So I did, you know, like YouTube tutorials and like the manual talks about like how to drive it as a semi. I also like had realized that like you get better gas mileage with it as a
Yeah.
semi-automatic.
Right.
And then
Right.
like Mazdas do this thing. If you are a Mazda driver,
Mm-hmm.
you can say whether you agree or disagree, but I've talked to some other Mazda drivers who agree that like after a while, they're like not meant to be driven as automatics. So
Okay.
and they have like this newer feature. I don't guys. I'm
I
gonna
don't know.
sound
I'm
like
not a
not
car
really
person.
stuff. I'm not a car person either.
Yeah.
Um,
So.
so there was something that used to be a not electric, and now it's electric.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, if you stay in automatic after a while, your car's pickup isn't as like quick to respond.
Interesting.
So I
Okay.
started to notice that like my pickup was lagging a little bit, and like I drive a tiny car, so I was like, well, this doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. So when I was doing research about it and reading about it and like reading the manual, it said that like you can fix it by switching to semi or by going into fully automatic, fully manual. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna try. I'm gonna teach myself how to drive semi. It's very scary at first.
That's terrifying.
You like really do have to, and you end up like being able to. A lot of people would say that you could listen to the car and you would know when you need to switch gears.
Yes, yes. That was the thing when I was trying to learn how to drive that car in the Philippines. Is like it's literally you feel the car. Like you feel it like push and pull.
Yeah,
Like when it needs to get, you know,
yeah. Well,
driven to
I
another
like
gear.
I don't know. I don't know if it's like newer cars or semi. Like my car in semi-automatic, you
Yeah.
don't feel it in the gear because
Right.
it's like you don't have as much
Right.
movement in it, but like you feel it in the
Right.
car. So the nice thing about driving a semi-automatic is that you don't have to downshift.
It already downshifts for you. That's why it's semi.
It automatically downshifts for you. So as you hit the
Okay.
brake, like you can do it
It'll
manually, but as you
yeah.
hit the brake, it downshifts for you. So that scares me a little bit still because I that's like when I feel like I'm going to stall the car out, so I let my car do it automatically. I shift up manually now, and it's super fun.
Yeah,
It
you're more
helps me
engaged, right?
like yeah, you're more engaged. And like it took me a while because the way that it's written in the manual is that like you should look to like be at a certain like mile per hour when you do it, like to get optimal gas and to keep your car happy.
Right.
So like when I first started doing it, I would bug out because I'd be like having to pay attention to the road, but then also staring at my dashboard and then looking at my hands and then like looking around the lot, which was
You
really
actually
scary.
like
But
drove this like did you just not drive around like your like complex or whatever to get a hang of it, or did you just drive it?
no, I full on was like in the car and I was like, let's do this.
Oh my god. Okay, good for you.
And I just like got in the car one day and I was like, I pulled out the manual and I was like, all right, let's figure this out. And I like drove home that way.
I could never.
And then I had just been doing it ever since.
That's
but like
good.
now it's something that's like second nature to me.
Yeah, because you've done it
I drove
so many times.
When we drove down to Maryland.
Yeah. You drove
like,
semi-automatic down to Maryland? Good for you.
It's but it was something that I thought of because I was like, you know, these are things that like even as we get older, we can still teach ourselves stuff, which is like really exciting and scary at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking like that was one of the things I thought of. I was like, I don't remember what it's like to not know how to do this now.
Right, because now that you have the knowledge and skill set, you literally don't know what life.
Yeah, like now it just feels like and that's the thing, right? That's why. And I think we've talked about this before, right? Like knowledge is power. Like knowledge can give you confidence to be able to do something, but like
and ignorance
you have to use that knowledge to build a skill set and actually put it into action.
More power to you. I don't know if anyone else that I know would do that.
Like, okay, so let's look at like, well, you can put it into this perspective, like you learning the guitar and like playing all the instruments you play. Like, no.
Yeah, I mean, I mean,
teach yourself stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's all perspective. Literally, it's whatever you. It depends on the person and what they want to do with their life. Literally, like that's just the end all be all.
It is possible to like still learn things.
Yeah, at any age. Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I feel like we don't give ourselves enough like credit. Like we feel once we hit a certain age, we can't learn a new skill or we can't think a different way.
Or people just get more afraid of failure the older we get.
Right.
And I think that's just wrong. I think that's just hindering yourself from doing whatever you want to do.
I think it was an audio I was listening to where they were talking about how when we're kids, we have this sense of innocence, but this lack of being afraid to fail. Like, oh no, there was another book I was reading where they talk about how like we will go up to our parents. Like we know that we're going to get an answer no, right? When like, especially from the two of us with our parents, like we grew up and we were going to talk to our parents and ask for something and they were going to tell us no. And we weren't going to stop there. Like we weren't going to say,
we're going to do it anyway.
Like what we wanted.
Essentially,
until we got what we wanted. And we were going to be super like pragmatic and figure out a way to get what we wanted. Literally. And in some way, shape, or form, like as we get older,
that stopped.
Once like whether it's a no or some other form of failure, like we stop doing that. We stop being willing to put ourselves in the situation where we're going to hear no or not get an answer we want.
Right.
And like we just like take it for what it is.
Right. And is there like a reason why that happens? Did your book go into that?
The book, so the book talked a little bit about it's just like how we allow things to like eat at our confidence, but we like have this like it's not a sense of invincibility, but it's a sense of knowing that we'll be okay, that we like grow out of because we deal with so many things to be afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Okay.
And then
I can see that.
Did you ever read the Daring Greatly book?
No.
By Brene Brown?
No.
Dude.
I haven't read anything from Brene Brown. I know who she is, but
she's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm rereading her book. I read a lot of books. I'm rereading her book, and her book, the part that I just read yesterday talks about like scarcity in our country.
Scarcity in which way? Just in general?
Scarcity is like not feeling like we have enough. Like we're never enough. We never have enough. We're never going to have enough. Like that concept of scarcity and how like connecting to that other concept of like failure, we become so afraid of failure because we don't feel like we have enough already. So we're afraid to take the chance because we don't feel like we can we don't have any, we can't willingly risk anything. Like it's too much of a risk to risk anything. It branches off this. Do you get along with those people that like just don't do like aren't risk takers and just are afraid of failure? No, I think they're boring. Agreed. And not even that, it just like baffles me. Just like, because if you're not doing what you want to do because you're afraid of failing, like you're not living your life. Like you're living some shadow of a life. I've known those types of people. It's not like that. And like, yeah, I've talked to them about it. And it's not their fault. So I've talked to those types of people before in the past. And like, granted, like I've been that way for like a little bit of my life, but once I saw the other side of just like doing to do it,
even if I fail or not, it's so much more fulfilling. And I've had those conversations with people and they're just like, well, I still don't want to fail. Or like, they'll make up an excuse as to why they just don't do something. And I'm like, well, I can't help you then. It's like I've said my piece and it's just like, what else can I do? It's their
A
life
lot of
at
the
the end of the day.
times it's so much it's that's the hard thing, and I that's the thing that like makes me be empathetic towards people who live that way, is
Yeah.
because it's not them that doesn't want to take the risk. It's like what they're allowing to go on, like circling back like in here. It's like
Right.
the impact and the influence that they're allowing, like that scarcity complex that's been thrown at them and into their brains, that they're allowing to influence them to not, because like they as a person, like if you peel all those layers back, that's what we like live on that, because
Right.
we have the ability to think that way, and like that's what our brains want, and like that's what our inner self really wants, is to take those risks and, like you said, like live the way we want to live.
Yeah.
But
Right.
we allow like way too much influence in like scarcity complex and like concerns of what failure is to really influence us, and like other people's opinions to really influence us. You
Yeah.
can't, it's hard, like you can't wake people up
When they don't want to
from
be
that,
woken
like they
up.
have to choose themselves.
When they don't want to
Huh?
wake up, they won't wake up. Like, it takes
Right, and
you
it's
can
like
you can
not,
talk
it's
to
not
people.
worth the fight.
No, I mean, as much as you even like love them as a person, if they don't want to wake up, it just gets too much of a toll for you to even handle. So at one point or another, you're just gonna have to let it go.
Because I'm somebody who wants other, like I care so much about how well other people are, or like wanting to be involved in other people's lives. I'm like, I'm a people pleaser, so like
Yeah, I
duh.
mean, you're preaching to the
But
choir here.
you
Yeah.
get to those points where like you realize that like
Hmm.
I my being able to please you cannot overshadow my need to like take care of myself.
Correct.
And it's like definitely one of those things. I was listening to I
Hmm.
was thinking a lot about my dad when I was listening to this. I haven't said anything to him about it yet, but
Okay.
I was listening to, this was an audio, to be clear. I remember this one. So the audio that I was listening to was somebody who's battling cancer. And he was talking about how even if you can beat cancer or beat an ailment or beat something that you're dealing with in your, like physically in your body, but then you don't do something, like you say like, why has this happened to me, or like, why am I going through that, or like, why do I have to deal with this now for the rest of my life, or you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
you don't show any sense of like appreciation for what you've gone through, and you
Hmm.
keep saying like that negative stuff. The bad things, even if you overcome the bad things that happen to you, they still win when you don't choose to do anything with the opportunity that's been laid in front of you. It is so very closely tied into like the way we talk about failure, right? Like you can fail a bunch of times, you can fail on your face, and then like hi, like all the time. But you're not really losing, right? You're not really losing
No.
until you let that have some type of negative impact on you. Because I think that's the problem, right? We like equate failing at something with like the like being a loser.
And it's not.
And
Because
like
then
it's
even if
not.
you fail, you still learn something.
Right. And like failing is, you can't have so many of the things that I read about like success and like reaching your goals and achieving and things like that. It's like really very clearly say like you cannot reach that end goal like without failing. Like if you don't fail at all, it wasn't a hard enough goal. Like it wasn't a big enough thing that you were working towards.
You're just being complacent and nothing's happening with your life and
And
you're
then again,
just
we're
staying
going
in the
back to
same
that sense of boring, right?
yeah, so boring. And not even yeah, because what do you live for? If you've already achieved whatever you want to achieve, no matter what age you are at, what are you looking forward to?
Right. Which
I
is
think
like
that's yeah.
the saddest thing about like our existence.
Like you shouldn't stay in one spot for too long.
Right. Which is why, like, I feel like so many people, like, going back to, like, this teenager that I know who's learning how to drive, like,
Hmm.
so many people look at those years of being a teenager as, like, the best years of their lives and, like, are always reminiscing about them because
Don't peak
you're,
at high school.
please don't.
don't
But
don't.
here's why this happens, right? It's the
Yeah.
time when we really do feel invincible. We're learning a lot, right? We're
Yeah.
constantly getting input.
Yeah.
We're having a lot of experiences that, like, first of all, we're emotionally unstable, so everything that's bad feels terrible and everything that's good feels not great.
Yeah.
um,
Great.
it it's that time, that's, it's like for a lot of people, unfortunately, in our society, it is the last time that they remember feeling like I'm working towards, I have something that is positive, you know what I mean, like they,
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why a lot of people, and now I feel like now it's because the average, and this is like the average for like us, right? Like not everybody, but like that used to be back before people used to go to college. It was like you peaked in high school, right? Or like
Yeah.
high school was the best times of your lives. And now for
Right.
people our age and like the norm of our generation is like to go to college. And like
Yeah.
now it's like people are talking about how college was the best years of their lives. And now like
Don't
once
peak
they
on
get
at
out and
college either.
they start working, right? If they're not doing like what you said,
Yeah.
like if they're not working towards anything else, they don't establish new goals for themselves, they're not developing themselves, they're not working on something, like they stay that way for the next
Yeah.
40 years of their lives.
Can you imagine? No, thank you.
Creating your own personal hell
Yeah, absolutely. Because you're literally in a hell loop
by not
every
doing
day.
anything. So it's like, and and it's not to say that like, is it a risk? Is it a risk, like, you know, the normal situation? Like, is it a risk to get married and have kids? Yeah, totally. Like, it's a risk.
Yeah.
Okay, there doesn't have to be. There can be more. If, like, that's your life goal, have
That's
kids,
great.
have your family, enjoy it, do stuff with it, right? Like,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
like
you
indulge more.
achieve, like you achieve one goal, great. Like, you think that's your life goal, but there should be something that you build off of that.
And also, please don't push your
Your
own
agenda.
life goals and your own need for success on your children.
Oh, girl.
That's another side point. Like, if you're having kids to live vicariously through your kids,
You shouldn't be having kids.
I didn't say it. I just want to clarify that came out of Maria's mouth and not my mouth. Like, because then that's creating a lot, right? Like, you have, if the rest of your life is in service to your children, that's amazing. That's amazing. And that's so, I respect that and go for it. But like, to clarify, like the rest of your life should be in service of the way that your child wants to live their life, not the way that you want your child to live their life. Or like like you said, like not your child meeting your agenda of how you want them to live
literally. Yeah, if you have your own agenda on how to live your life, that should just be your agenda.
Yeah, like set personal goals for yourself.
There should always be some goal that you should be looking towards. It doesn't even have to be like grand. It can be like,
you don't have to teach yourself how to change the way you drive a car, or
no, or like learn how to set up a podcast.
Yeah, literally.
Period.
I mean,
like
you don't have to do that either. But like,
you don't have to do that either.
There is something that you want, and the best,
even if it's like you've never gone to the movies by yourself. I think that, you know, like, okay, go to the movies by yourself. That should be a goal, right? Like that's small enough.
Something that's like different.
Or like go try out, like, this is so cliche, like go to like a new coffee place or something, you know, like it's some like that's anything.
Do you know how hard it was talking about like learning to do stuff on your own that's uncomfortable? Sitting and like eating a meal by yourself.
Do you feel uncomfortable doing that? Because I
no,
love
not
doing
anymore.
That.
Not anymore.
Okay.
But like I used to.
I can see. I know it's difficult for many people. For me, yeah. I've never had a problem with it.
No, I always did. But like I don't anymore. Like I like going and sitting places by myself and like.
Oh my God, the amount of like conversations that you overhear is like just so. I miss people watching.
No, oh my! If you've never people watched before, please go do it. It's so wonderful.
It's a very good introvert time like passer. When the world is open again, I really just want to like sit somewhere and just people
watch everybody else. You don't have to do stuff by yourself, but you should do stuff by yourself too.
Agreed. It doesn't have to be like, I'm not saying like every week you should do something by yourself.
No,
it should be like a goal in yours to sit with yourself.
Yeah, like those are different goals that you can have. So like if you have a goal for yourself, you also don't have to do it alone. Like Maria and I always knew we wanted to do podcasting stuff. Like we just wanted to be able to talk and have conversations, and we related on that. And like now we do what we do here because we're like, we motivate each other to do it and we support each other in doing it.
Right.
And that's makes it all that much better because we can do it together. And you can do that. Like anything that you want to do by yourself, you can do with others. But at the same time, it's really, so like if you have a goal, find a community that's working towards a similar goal and have support in that journey. I don't know if you can do that with like people watching, but like find a people watching group, make one on Facebook.
People watching group? Like, I don't think.
You don't have to go and watch things together, but you can go and talk about like what you watched and like what you think about when you're people watching and what you see, like.
Or just find a friend.
That's true. Yeah. There are so many ways that you can do the things that you want to do, you can do it by yourself and feel really strong and confident and like fight all of those things that I talked about before with like feeling like you're not good enough or you don't have enough. Like, you can fight against all of that. I've definitely been taking this journey in like my physical health because I used to not feel good in my body. Like my body, I wasn't able to do the things I wanted to be able to physically do. I never felt as strong as I wanted to be. And I had a really hard time doing it for myself. Like, I love motivating other people and helping other people feel good about their
That's different
bodies.
though.
And
You
yeah,
know that's different.
and like I get a sense of fulfillment in that, but I wouldn't do what I need to do for my body. Like, I had a really hard time, and I used to go, I never felt comfortable taking like group fitness classes or even like group dance classes. I hated it because I
Hate
felt
that.
so
Someone's judging you.
right. But the funny thing is, and I know this, like
No one is.
no one cares because
No one
everybody's
cares.
the same thing in their heads. Like, I hope
Yeah.
everybody really knows that, but like I know it's a weird thing that we have to get over. But I would
Everyone's
hate
just looking out for themselves. They couldn't care less
right,
about the person next to
right.
you.
They're not. They're really not. And we're all
No.
like judging ourselves and comparing ourselves to everybody. Like, everybody's doing the exact same thing in the room. But I always had a really hard time with that, and I never felt. I would only push myself for the sake of like my ego and not necessarily because like I was in tune to what was actually happening
Right.
or like doing it for myself. So when I started like training myself at home and like finding things that I liked to work with, and like to the point of where I have moments now where I want to give up and I would give up. Like, I normally would give up and I would be like, you're not going to, like, I'm not going to take the risk. You're going to accept that you're a failure, like all those things we've been talking about. But it's almost more of a like emotional experience than anything else. When I get to the end where I feel like I'm going to give up, I literally just tell my, like, there's a switch in my brain that I think used to shut off.
Yeah.
Because I would have so much negative stuff in there that'd be like, no, just, you're fine. Like, you're not enough. You're never going to be good enough. Like, just turn it off. Like, don't risk
Yeah, that sucks.
going and getting hurt.
Yeah.
Like, that used to be my brain.
Yeah.
And, or like, I used to have like, sometimes I'd have an asthma attack. So like, I feel like, I also feel
Panic
like,
attack?
yeah. Or no, I would have an asthma attack. Sometimes I have panic attacks, but I feel like I also started to use that as a way to be able to stop. You know what I mean?
Because
Like,
it's an excuse, and yeah, your brain is wired to be like, all right, I'm too stressed out, so let me just induce some attack. Yeah.
So, but now I put myself in a situation where I've taken care of my body and my mind enough that I can't, there's no back door. Like, I have no escape route. So I literally just have to turn off my brain and keep going in my body. And it's like, there are days when I do it and I cry while I'm doing, like, not like because I'm sad, but like because it's so to overcome those things, like when you fight with your body or like you like have to fight with your psyche, like it's such a release and it feels so good to like know like you are strong enough to do this. And those are the types of experiences that like I hope that anybody who feels afraid to be able to take a risk or like is afraid of failure, like those are the type of experiences that you need to have, because once you have it once and you realize that you can do it and you can build your confidence in it,
it like, rewires your brain.
And every time that you do it,
it gets easier.
Even if you fail sometimes, you'll build up such a like a strength to it that it won't be able to knock you over.
Agreed.
Like, those are the moments that people need.
Absolutely. And the first few times are always the hardest, obviously, right? Like,
always. It's like always. It's the same thing with driving. Were you awesome at driving when you first started?
No, I sucked.
I was terrified.
I mean, like, I still kind of like am not the best driver. I feel like.
What makes you say that?
I don't know, just cause I feel like I'm just not, like, I'm safe enough. You know, like, I'm safe enough for everyone involved around me. I feel
like that's a good standard if you're gonna set a standard.
It's a pretty good standard.
What is your like this is such a weird question, but I feel like it tells me so much. What is your ideal like driving situation? Like, what's your favorite kind of road?
What kind of road do you want to like? Good question. A highway with no traffic. Literally.
You live in the wrong state.
No, I know. Absolutely. But I've driven down to Florida with my parents or whatever, and like getting down like there.
Yeah.
Is nice. I've also driven in California, which again, there is a lot of traffic there, but just the highway though. I've driven there at like 5 o'clock in the morning. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, highway, no traffic. That's the ideal.
No, that's
more specific because that's more specific.
can see it.
Like in the dawn, like when the sun rises and stuff.
I can hear you. Okay, I can get on board with that.
Yeah. Do you have a
I remember,
specific or an ideal? What?
of course I do.
Of course you do.
And I, of course, have a backstory to it.
Of course you
I
do.
remember being a kid, and my father, like, we would go on family trips, even though he doesn't really know it because he never tapped into it. Like, my dad is very kinesthetically aware. Like, my dad is like a good mover in my family. Like, he's the, like, he plays the instruments. Like, he is very spatially aware. I don't think he tapped into it enough to like make it a superpower, but like he does have that sense. So I remember growing up, he was like always the safer driver. And when we were in the car as a family, if we'd go somewhere or like we were on like a winding road at night, he'd always be like, "Oh, these are my favorite roads to drive."
Oh my God,
like,
my dad too. When we were younger, same.
Really?
Yeah.
And I never understood that.
Me neither.
And I think maybe it's a little bit of like an adrenaline rush.
I can see that. Yeah.
But those are my favorite roads to drive. Like mountainous, winding, dark roads are my, like, it scares me a little bit, but like I enjoy that.
So in the Philippines, we don't do this often anymore because there's a plane that goes to my dad's side of the family now from the capital city, because my mom's side lives in like by Manila, let's just say like Manila, and then my dad lives in the rural part in the northern leg of the island, and that drive back in the day took us 12 hours ish. Yeah. But so a majority of that is mountains, winding roads with no what the hell are they called? No railing, no like side, whatever.
Oh God, no. No. See, no, I don't. No.
I mean, there
my
is
worst nightmares.
Like there is, but they're like tiny. They're not like they're just like barriers.
But you're talking like end of a cliff.
Yeah, literally.
Road.
So
okay, no, I don't like that. I like wooded roads. I want woods all around me. I want to know where there's no end of the earth anywhere.
I remember my dad loves those roads. He used to drive that.
I don't like anything where can't.
You don't like dangerous roads.
Like my family almost got like pushed off the edge of a cliff driving in Hawaii. Like we don't need that. Like I don't like those.
That's nice.
I don't like those things.
No, thank you.
Yeah, I also anything that has an edge where like I don't know what's going on. I don't.
You don't like being obviously no cliffs. It's just like straight road, just winding and just like trees and
just
forest.
Like winding through the woods. Like I like those roads.
I will say though, I do like
periods.
Yeah, I don't like heights either. So there's this local road, and like going down that road at night is really fun because it's dead quiet.
I don't like.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Here's my
but
issue
that place
with
is definitely
roads,
haunted.
Though.
There's a portion of that road where it's Do you know that that four-way stop, and on in one corner there's that cemetery / church. Do you know what? Yeah, definitely haunted right there. Just saying.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But see, I don't like my tendency, and maybe other people will agree with me. If it's a straight road, I drive faster than I should.
Yeah.
So at nighttime, I don't like those because one day a deer is going to come out and hit me.
Oh yeah, I drive slow enough down that road because deer always come out.
Right. So I think that's why I like the winding path, because I can go like quickly, but I have to be like, I can't go fast enough that I like, you know what I mean? Like I have to be super aware at the same time. I think that's what I like. It like heightens my sense of awareness, and I think that's why I enjoy it.
Well, you're gonna have fun driving semi-automatic then on winding roads.
I'm really not good. I had to drive my car to like northern Jersey yesterday, and my car has 6 gears, and
they're supposed to be.
Huh?
I don't even know how many there are normally.
Some cars don't have a 6th, and some cars go up more.
Apparently. Oh, I don't.
But I like still have to figure out what's like optimally driving uphill.
Okay, I don't know. Okay.
So like I was Seems okay difficult. Yesterday. I didn't stall out, but like when I'm going uphill, I do have to downshift sometimes because I need more power to get up the hill. So like I still have to play with that, and we live in a very like relatively flat area, so
flat around here.
I was like thinking about that yesterday, but it's just interesting circling back. Like there was a point when like you didn't know how to feed yourself with a fork and a knife. Like isn't that crazy?
there's also a point in time where we didn't know how to talk or read. So yes, it's crazy.
That's something that I had to super acknowledge for myself recently as like something to be grateful for, like being
Yes,
literate.
yes, 100%. It's I don't want to say luxury to some, you know.
Oh, but like it is,
Yeah,
especially the fact that we're able to read and write in English.
yeah, agreed. Which I mean, yeah, it's a
Even though like
almost
our language
universal.
is
It's all this language is almost
better,
universal.
but
What'd you say?
I said even though our language is like becoming obliterated and like not grammatically correct anymore,
Oh
but
my
like the
God, our
fact that we
language
were able to,
English is god awful. Like
right?
more power to whoever has English as their second language. Because like the amount of rules that we break with this language is
Yeah,
absolutely
like
insane.
we're so like very very fortunate to able be like, to know it, and
It's
like
very
the fact that
complex.
we're able to, like I was thinking about this with books too, because I have like both of us have like extensive libraries of books. Like
Hmm.
it's not a struggle for us to find a book that we want in English.
Right, exactly.
You know, like we're very fortunate to be able to have that, and like the amount of access of like ability to self educate ourselves and get
It's
knowledge on
immense.
something because we're able to read and write in English
Hmm.
is really a gift. So like
Agreed.
just yeah, if you that is one thing I do. I'm gonna get myself. I want to be better, like in my Espanol. I do want to keep relearning languages again because I've lost them and it makes me sad.
Yeah, I can't. I've been telling myself that I want to learn Tagalog. Like cause all right, I can understand it perfectly well. Like I can understand it as much as I can understand English, which I mean is great. But my speaking skills and my grammar is at like a pre-K level.
So many people
That's
that
the
I
that's the
speak
issue
to
with
are
like
like that.
being bilingual.
Especially like yeah, and especially like first generation or second
Yeah,
generation like in America, like their
yeah.
families predominantly speak it and they don't necessarily can't like return conversation, but they can understand really well.
Right, and like learning, and I have like beginner, like you know, how to learn Tagalog 101 like books around here or whatever. And it's so hard as someone that knows the language to sit there and discipline myself to actually sit there and learn it. You know what I mean? Because like it's like I know it, just get to the point. But
Right.
also you have to
Like you don't
discipline
want to go
yourself to be
backwards
like,
kind of.
yeah, you also have to discipline yourself and be like, okay, but you actually have to learn why this happens. So I always like
But
open the book.
do you need to know like
Yes, I do. My grammar is awful. I don't know how to form a sentence. Like I can
well,
get
like can't
by.
you just like tell your mom to constantly talk to you?
They do. They only talk to me in Tagalog
And
still.
then like can't you just discipline yourself to like respond to them only in it so that you
I
actually
try, we try, but I still can't. I can't.
I don't know. Like there are so
It's
many
very difficult for me.
that's the hardest this is like a full circle. Like learning anything new literally is all discipline.
It's a lot
It's
of yeah.
literally disciplining yourself.
Yeah.
And the thing that's interesting is like the thing that I've learned in terms of like building how like a lot of different habits is that it's not necessarily like that you have to be able to do it for forever and ever. It's just you have
Yeah.
to discipline yourself to repeatedly do it for a short amount of time.
Until you need that skill. You know, like so I took Japanese 101 in college.
Mm.
The 2 semesters before I went to Tokyo for the first time. And that helped tremendously. And I know a little bit, like I know the essentials, like like how much is this, or like where's the bathroom, or where's like the bus, like where's like But when I was studying it, I was studying it with the reason that I needed to retain this information for when I go to Tokyo that summer. So I did, I retained it, and then afterwards, when I didn't need all that information,
Bye.
like I don't need this. Bye, I don't need this until I go back to Tokyo again. I brush up on like just a few like sentences that I needed. So like with anything, like if you don't need it, you can just kind of just like like when you delete files off your computer, just delete it out of your brain so you can put more information in.
I were having a conversation yesterday that I was like, I don't know where Arkansas is.
Oh, I don't know.
Right? Talk about like
Midwest.
you only retaining information you need in like the immediate future. We were talking about something
Right.
and I was like, I remember we learned it in geography, and then I went on a whole story on a
We
tangent about
also learned
geography
we
teachers.
also learned a lot of geography, like European countries. Like
Right.
where
That
each
because I
one is.
remember
I
that
don't
like
know.
do you remember that gems binder we all had to make?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess I'll
This
have my
is
somewhere. So like
Wow.
That's like literally, this is just total proof to the fact of like why the education system doesn't work, because we only retain what we need for the immediate moment and then we forget it all.
Which I think is fine.
But don't be afraid to learn new
discouraged.
stuff.
Obviously, don't be discouraged to learn new stuff. Because obviously, like I'm still trying
and
to learn
be bad at
Tagalog.
it.
Yeah, I'm still bad at a lot
We're
of
still
things.
trying to figure out how to do this podcast appropriately. So I mean,
Right.
like,
We'll get like really good at this at like episode, I don't know, 150.
we've gotten mics, guys. It only took us 30 episodes to get really good at tech and to get on Spotify.
Yeah, we're
apparently
getting
I told Maria, apparently once you hit, like, the data says that once you hit like 33 episodes of a podcast, you officially can say you have a podcast now. So we're like really
We're
close.
like getting
We've
there.
graduated from being little babies to like actually being a podcast. So like, exciting things.
Right. And like
You just gotta keep going.
Also
and doing it. Failing.
Don't be discouraged when you start doing something and you don't want to do it at the end of the day. Because like
that's a thing called pivoting. We'll talk about that another day.
Oh, okay. Because like
the whole concept behind that.
Because even like when I read a book that I've wanted to read forever, or like play a video game that I knew was coming out and I wanted forever, so I pre-ordered it and played it, and I hate it. Well, that sucks. But I'm not gonna beat myself over it. Like it's just like that's just like how life is. It's like you kind of wait for something and you're excited for something, and then it happens. You're like, oh, I don't really like this, or like if try something new and you're like, oh, I don't really like this. Like that's just life. That's nothing on you. That's like something. Some external thing that happened and it's not you. I think that's also a thing. People blame themselves. It's not always you. That's all.
And like, you can't, like, it happens. Like, and you really have the choice of like, are you gonna stop getting excited about things and be boring and not take risks because of that, or are you gonna be like, oh, all right, next,
find something else.
What am I interested in now? It's whatever.
There's like a plethora of things I can do in this life. Like I just find something else. It boils down to just don't be boring.
I hope that is like literally our goal. Like, hopefully people find like we're entertaining you, or at least if we're saying something that you, honestly, I hope that we're saying something that you agree with, and I hope we're saying something you disagree with, and I hope that you're feeling something and then you do something about it.
Right, because I mean, yeah, that's our goal. Actually, you've said everything.
Done and done.
Yes.
Well, next week you're gonna finally get to meet my fiance Dan. And we'll re-talk about all the stuff that we talked about on the first episode when he came on literally in July. Brittany messed up the tech stuff. So
thankfully I don't remember anything.
If you are in a relationship or you have a significant other, I guess we're going to be talking about this more next week. So, or you just want to see who the person is who has to deal with me on a daily basis and loves me anyway, definitely tune into our next episode. If you have something that, can people comment on Spotify? No, they can email us though, right?
They can email us or they can comment on our YouTube video.
Perfect. So if you are listening or watching this and you have something that like you've learned how to do recently that you're like, I never thought I'd be able to do this and I taught myself how to do it, or you have something that like a failure that you overcame, share it with us. We want to hear about like your victories and your failures.
Yeah, because both are valid. We good?
I gotta figure out how to put all this stuff away.
Just don't even put it away.
We're good. No, but I can't work like this during the week. You know how many times I'm gonna hit my head?
I know.
Oh my god.
Okay.
It's fine. I'll figure it out. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening, and we will catch you guys on the next episode.
Okay, bye.